What's up YouTube? Drew here. Today I want to talk about Tiana's Bayou adventure out at Disneyland, as now that we have our first look inside of the attraction, I have put together a list of my top 10 differences out at Disneyland compared to out here at Walt Disney World, and I think that Tiana's Bayou adventure is going to make a real splash at Disneyland because it's the flagship version of the attraction. With that being said, let's get to it. For this list of my top 10 differences, I will be going through it in order as you would see it on the attraction. So the first overall major difference for Tiana's at Disneyland is the staging of the Audio-Animatronics figures and the pacing of the flume, with how quickly the logs fly through that flume. And it's worth noting that that was the same thing with Splash Mountain at Disneyland compared to out here at Walt Disney World. With Splash at Disneyland, it was the same because the track layout did not change for Tiana's. The ride vehicles are still the same. It just flows a lot better and it feels more natural compared to out here at Walt Disney World. Now getting to some of those specific differences, this is actually on the outdoor section of the attraction. Once you first see Lewis looking for her band, kind of setting up the story, this is where Disneyland has unique lines of dialogue that do not happen out here at Walt Disney World.
Don't you worry, Lois. We're gonna find just what we need in the Bible.
For Disneyland, that's 1 point on the board because it's another uniqueness factor and it sets up the storyline a little bit more, so that's why I like it out of Disneyland. Once you first drop into those indoor show scenes into the Bayou, you'll be greeted with some beautiful dancing fireflies, and I really love this staging here immediately off the bat because it adds a lot of depth here and really sells that you're in the Bayou. But specifically with the fireflies, very briefly forming a heart. So not just that they form a heart, once they form that heart, they actually go up. And if you look up above you out at Disneyland, that's basically saying that those fireflies are joining the other physical fireflies above. So that is a beautiful sequence of animation, as well as connecting the digital fireflies to the physical fireflies that you can see above you. Once you turn the corner, you'll be greeted by Louis the Alligator, Princess Tiana, in that first band that we have now found. Again, the storyline, we are looking for musicians to play at Princess Tiana's party that evening, and my favorite difference here is the way that everything is staged, but specifically some very subtle differences done by the show programmers. The show programmers over at Walt Disney Imagineering are the ones who basically are creating the illusion of life with these audio animatronics, and the way that Tiana is staged out at Disneyland, instead of looking to the right out here at Walt Disney World, she is looking straight ahead the way that that Zydeco band is staged. So even something as simple as her eyes, it feels more natural because of the direction that she's looking in. Another little character connection moment here as we make our way down the Bayou and come across our next group of rah-rah musicians. My favorite detail here is how Princess Tiana and Fina the Gray Fox make direct eye contact as Tiana looks in amazement as Fina is performing, because, you know, as we're looking for these musicians in the story, Tiana would be impressed by how well they're playing to make her want to invite them to the party tonight. And out here at Walt Disney World, Fina is on the complete opposite side of the track and she's looking straight ahead, but out at Disneyland she's looking to the right so that when Tiana bends over, they are making eye contact, and I think that that is just a really cool but simple detail. Next, we encounter Princess Tiana and Louis again, and Tiana's talking about finding one more band for the party tonight, but Louis is taking this literally, as he's literally searching high and low to find this band. But what I love about Disneyland is that Tiana is actually sitting on this log that Louis is searching in, whereas out here at Walt Disney World, the figures are separated. So at Disneyland, it makes it for a little bit more of a humorous moment, and I think that it just delivers better at Disneyland with the way that those figures are together and how Tiana is literally sitting on Louis in that case. The next difference is immediately after you see Tiana and Louis on the log. If you look to the left of the scene on that back wall, there's 4 frogs here, which people don't talk about often, but this is actually the foreshadowing of what's about to happen with us being shrunken down. But if you look above the frogs, you can actually see Ray and Evangeline, which is a beautiful nod to the Princess and the Frog film. Also, you can see them on the Tiana's Foods water tower outside, but out at Disneyland, that's another little callback to the Princess and the Frog that we don't have out here at Walt Disney World. Next, we see Mama Odie, and Mama Odie apparently knows the secret to finding this final band for the party, as she shrinks us down to the size of a frog. So in the storyline, the only reason we find this final band is because of Mama Odie. That's why we are shrunken down. And the big difference out at Disneyland that I love is that Mondo the Frog is front and center down in the Las Ranitas Vertes Club. Even with the leaves behind him and the fireflies dancing, I think that there might even be a little bit more of a detail here, that the shape of those leaves behind Mondo kind of resembles a magnolia flower and a water lily. A water lily is used multiple times throughout the Tiana's Foods logo in the attraction, as well as a magnolia flower. Well, that's the state flower of none other than Louisiana. So it just looks great in the attraction. It's kind of like a Mondo shrine. He is clearly the moment here. Once we find that final frog band and Tiana says this is the sound that she's been craving, we are ready to go to the party. And the fireflies are actually joining us, coming to the party. But what I love about Disneyland is that, well, the animations of the fireflies dancing alongside us are the same. The background pops a lot more and it makes the fireflies stand out. Out here, Walt Disney World, they really don't have a background, but out at Disneyland, that background has a lot of purples and those blues, which matches the environment and all the leaves and colors that we're seeing around us. So I think that even though it's the same animation, that animation looks a lot better because the background makes them pop a lot more. We encounter Mama Odie one more time as she makes us normal size again, and the 50-foot drop is the shortcut to Tiana's party, so we're able to make it just in time. But really what I love about Disneyland's finale is the pacing here is slower, but that's actually better with how many Audio-Animatronics figures are in the finale. And I think that because in the storyline this party is being hosted at nighttime, the lighting use, the show lighting here from Walt Disney Imagineering, makes it feel more nighttime than out here at Walt Disney World. But something that I haven't seen anyone mention is that to the left of Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen's home, if you look up, you can actually see once again Ray and Evangeline looking right over this giant party. So that's another The Princess and the Frog full circle moment with Ray and Evangeline, and I like it more at Disneyland compared to out here at Walt Disney World, because if you're thinking logically about looking up into the sky and seeing a star, usually you would see a star if you're looking up above a house. So in this situation, it just works better at Disneyland. Whereas out here at Walt Disney World, you'll see them a little bit later as you're floating past these two frogs, and they're directly above Tiana's palace, but the perspective there just isn't great, and it's a weaker moment in the attraction. So out at Disneyland, I think that that's a win out there. And as we pass the party, we'll see Mama Odie one more time for the final character that we'll see in Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And out at Disneyland, Mama Odie has a unique line of dialogue.
Look at this book filled with beautiful people. And you're beautiful. And you're beautiful. And y'all have a good time.
So with those 10 differences in mind, the staging of the animatronics, the pacing of the flume, again, Disneyland gets the better version of the attraction with Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you know, similar to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, you get it. Disneyland is the king of the flagship rides, but that's not to say that Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Walt Disney World is bad. Me personally, I actually prefer some of the spacing between the scenes out here at Walt Disney World, because it gives those scenes room to breathe. Whereas at Disneyland, everything's happening a lot quicker, and some people might say that everything's a little bit cramped to where you can't take it in. Whereas out here at Walt Disney World, it feels a little bit more natural, seeing everything spread out a little bit more. But I still love the attraction out here. Looking out at Disneyland, it just works, it flows, it fits like a puzzle piece perfectly. But that's it for me for this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.